Hi everyone, this is Lori from happybirdsglitternest.blogspot.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make these sweet little mouse ornaments, and they really were fun to put together. So stay tuned and I'll show you exactly how I made them. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is your image. Now I chose to purchase some cute little Christmas mice, 12 of them, and they are a digital download, so you can make them any size you'd like. And I purchased these images from AI Clip Art Corner on Etsy for $3.07, and once again you get 12 images. This is the image that we're working with today, and what I did was I used my Epson presentation paper, okay, in matte, and I will put a link to this paper along with any other links I can find on my blog. All you do is scroll all the way down past my free patterns until you reach a picture of this project, and all the links will be there, okay? And it'll be at happybirdsglitternest.blogspot.com. And if you have any problems finding it, you can always email me at happybirdsglitternest@gmail.com. Okay, so this image here that I'm using, what I did was I set the print to wallet size, and I made sure the fit to frame box was checked, okay? And as you can see, you can make all kinds of different sizes here. They're really cute. And I did make, some others behind the camera. And I'll show you what I did. Okay, and of course this isn't all of them. Now you're going to need a 2.5-inch circle punch to punch this little guy out that we printed. Okay. Alright, and so I already punched this little mouse out, and if you notice, it has some laminating on it. I use these thin sheets of laminating, self-adhesive laminating sheets. You don't need a machine for this, and it only laminates the top part, which is just what I wanted. I didn't want to use the machine where the heavy laminating sheets are, and they're very stiff. You want the sheets that are just fairly thin, like this, and only laminates the top. I bought this Hashi brand from Amazon, and I'll go ahead and put a link to that as well on my blog. I'll set this aside. So I do have the back part on. That's just on there temporarily. As I cut, it falls off. So I'm going to take my precision scissors, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully with my precision scissors cut around the edge of this circle. Now don't cut into the paper. If you leave just a teeny tiny bit of the laminating sheet over the circle edge, don't worry about it, because we'll trim that up even more. It's more important that you don't actually cut the white paper here. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way around with this, and I'll show you what we're going to do to even that up, okay? And I promise you it will all turn out right in the end. Okay, so this is the back. Alright, so this is what it looks like. So I'm going to set this aside for just a moment, okay? And I'll be back. Okay, so with this 2.5-inch punch, you're going to punch out 4 circles out of 80-pound white cardstock, and I buy this at Hobby Lobby. Alright, so you're going to glue all that together with Fabri-Tac, okay? And pay careful attention to around the edges, not so close that it seeps out, but that's the main part you want closed, okay? And once you glue all these together, you're going to take your Fabri-Tac and glue it around the back of the image and put this on top. Now you might feel a little bit of that lamination sheet hanging over the edge. Don't worry about it. We'll fix that, okay? So I'm going to glue all these together right now, and I'm going to allow it to dry enough where I can cut around it with my scissors and do a little sanding even. Okay, so while your other base is drying, we're going to make a base for the back of the ornament. And once again, you're going to be using your 2.5-inch circle punch, okay? And you're going to cut out 3 circles out of 80-pound white cardstock, okay? And you're also going to glue these together with Fabri-Tac, all right? And so once you do that, you're going to set that aside and allow it to dry. And then I used this wonderful nesting frame die that I found on inlovearts.com, and they still have it, and I have a link to it. Right now, as I'm making this video, it's on sale for $6.49. This cuts beautifully. It's nice and sharp. I don't even have to use a shim, and I just ran over it back and forth a couple of times, and it came out and everything punched out just fine. I used the Pin and Gear white glittered cardstock. It's diamond print glitter. I found this at Walmart for a little over $6. I would advise you to pick this up as soon as you can, because they do run out of stock as it gets closer to the holidays, and then you have to wait for them to stock it again. This is pretty popular, I guess, around the holidays. So as you can see, it has a real pretty shine to it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but okay. And it's 104-pound cardstock. It's nice, really nice, no shed. Okay, so what I did was I used my Cuttlebug to punch this out with a middle die. Okay, and that is approximately 3 1/4 inches in width. All right. So once you cut this out, you're going to take the 3 2.5-inch circles that you made and center that on the back part. Okay, and of course we'll do the image base on the front. We'll place that on the front as soon as we do a couple more things to it, okay? So you can do that for now, all right? And I'll set this aside, and then I'll be back. Okay, so this is dried, so we're going to take our precision scissors again, and I'm just going to gently lay them against the edge of the cardstock from behind, see? And we're just going to try to go along the edges, and sometimes there won't be anything to cut off, but you can kind of feel the parts that are. Just kind of shave it off a little. See, sometimes it's just very thin, but I actually did a pretty good job going around the edges the first time, but this is just in case there's some laminating stuff that I haven't cut off. And I just take your time and do a little at a time. And eventually you'll get to the end. There we go. You can kind of feel the parts that are probably going to need it. Okay. And see, you can look from the front, and if there's some edges that look like they need it, just turn it over and fix those edges. And it's not going to be 100% perfect, but you won't notice that once we do what we do to this, and I'll show you as we go along, of course. Just take your time, that's the main thing. Take your time, feel, think about things before you cut them. Okay, so this is pretty good. Now I'm taking a Dollar Tree sanding block, and I'm using the finer side, and I'm just going to gently go around the edges like this, just to kind of smooth things out a little. And believe it or not, it really does help. Okay. There we go. Alright, and then of course I'm going to kind of dust it off the best you can. Look how nice that is. Now, if an older person like me with bad eyes can do this, you can certainly do this, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this on the front and make sure it's nice and centered. You want to leave a little bit of this edge right here open so we can glue the pearls on. Okay, we have 3mm pearl trim we're going to glue on, but first we're going to glue this image down with our Fabri-Tac and allow that to dry. This does dry fairly quickly, but I will tell you that if you let it sit overnight, you can really feel the difference. It becomes very hard. Okay, hold on. Gotta pick this up and kind of make sure that everything is even and centered. I think that looks pretty good there, don't you? And if you notice, I'm putting one of the holes, I'm using the in-between here, the mouse's legs, and I'm making sure the hole is centered there and that there's a hole up here too, okay? And that will help a lot when we continue to finish this ornament. Now on the back of this ornament, you're going to take the base that you made for the back of this and glue this on. And this is just to make it sturdy and make an area where you can write on the back of the ornament if you'd like. You know, maybe you're going to give this as a homemade gift to someone, or maybe even slip it into a card or something like that. I'm going to put this in the center as well, just like that. Now, if you wanted to, you could put this diamond print cardstock. You could put a sheet of that on the, or a circle of that on the back, but I decided just to use the plain cardstock because although this is good to print on with a printer, I can print a lot more easily with just a pen on plain white cardstock. So now if I was going to do something like print it out to and from, that would be different. But okay, so we're going to allow this to dry, and then I will be back. Okay, so next you're going to need some 3mm pearl trim, and I purchased this trim from Amazon, and I've already used a ton of it, and I've shared a ton of it as well. And I got this, it was 54 yards or 50 meters, and it's really nice. I love this trim, and I think I paid $11 and something cents for it, but this is going to last me forever, so I'll go ahead and put the link to that as well. And I already cut off a piece, so I'm going to be using my Fabri-Tac, and I'm just going to go around the edges a little at a time. You're just putting a little bit, you're not overdoing it. And I'm just moving the ornament along like this. And I probably mentioned it in one of my other videos using the laminating sheets, but be careful not to get any glue on top of that laminating sheet. I'm always careful and kind of pull the bottle away from it, whatever I'm doing, and not across, because once you get any type of glue on the top of that, that's it. You cannot rub it off, especially Fabri-Tac. It's there. So I'm just very careful. And looks like I might be able to cut, well, I don't know, let's see. I don't know. Let me trim this off like that. And then I'll push that up against there and kind of push these somewhat together. Now it looks just right. Okay, whoops. Don't want to make that go over to the side. Okay, I'm going to make sure I have this. Okay. There we go. So I think it turned out really cute. Now, at this point, you could actually just leave it like this and it would make a darling ornament. Put a little charm here and a little jump ring up here, and maybe string some ribbon through it. So if you wanted to stop at this point, you could. But I'm going to take it a little further. I bought this yarn, and I believe I purchased this from Hobby Lobby. It's the cotton yarn, and they have different colors, of course, you know. I just chose the Candy Cane striped one. And you get a lot of it for the price, too. And so I just cut off a length of yarn, and I'm going to make kind of a makeshift needle here. I'm just taking some wire. This is 24 gauge because you want it to be real thin. Thin enough where you can handle it, but thin enough to where you can string it through the holes as well. And it doesn't have to be any fancy wire or special wire, just as long as it's a fine enough gauge. You can get the cheap wire or the fine gauge floral wire. You know, it doesn't have to be the expensive stuff, that's for sure. And I'm just folding it in half. I'm going to make sure that this bottom part, that I squeeze that as well. Okay? And then I'm just going to open it up. And just kind of put this through like that, and then kind of squeeze it up again a little bit. So looks like that. Okay. Was I doing? I hope I wasn't doing all that out of frame. Okay. I just noticed, sorry. Gosh, I left the cap off my glue too. Alright. So here we go. You're going to find the top, which would be here, and you're going to actually put it through the one next to the top hole, okay? And you're going to start from the back, alright? And just string it like this. This reminds me of the sewing cards that I had when I was a little girl. If you're a baby boomer, I'm sure you remember they had sewing cards for kids, little pictures on them, like maybe a puppy or a duck or something like that. And they had pre-punched holes around it. And of course they gave you a child-proof needle. And you learned how to sew with these sewing cards. And they already had the holes punched out in them. Probably aging myself. But I remember having those when I was real little. Maybe about 4 or 5. I don't even know if they have that type of thing anymore for the kids. But it really was good for both boys and girls, because at least it gave a little bit of instruction on how to sew, and you could sew a button on, that's for sure. So I'm just going in and out like this all the way around. And last night I made 4 more of these little mice ornaments. And I was listening to Christmas music. It was a Christmas music station. And I just really enjoyed it. And doing this type of thing was not only relaxing, but it went pretty quickly. Before I knew it, I had these finished. And I know if you wanted to tune into some Christmas music on YouTube, they have all kinds of different channels, different styles of Christmas music. I like the ones where there's not a whole lot of commercials in between. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way to the top. And if you want to sit here and watch me do this, you can. If not, you can just speed up the video. Okay, so I'm almost there at the top. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to cut it like this. See how I left a little bit? Because I'm going to come in with some Fabri-Tac, and I'm just going to glue these down, and then I'm going to put a little bit of this glue on top as well. So you're going to put a little bit of glue on the top. Not too much, I don't want to make a big mess. And then you allow it to dry, of course, and it'll dry hard. Like that. Okay? And once this completely dries, I'll be back and I'll show you what else we're going to do to this. Okay, so you can actually do this part before you do the yarn or after, it doesn't matter. I took a 9mm jump ring and slipped it through an enamel charm, and I like these charms because they're not super heavy, so that's kind of nice. You want a charm that's fairly lightweight. You don't want to put any charms that are real super heavy or anything at the bottom. And even though this is a 9mm, of course you could use an 8mm. That would work as well. And it's not a real thick gauge like this one. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of determine where the middle is from the mouse's legs, and I'm just going to slide it in there. And okay, so now we have the little bells at the bottom, and judging from where I put this, that's where I'm going to place this 10mm jump ring. And you could use a 9mm. That's totally up to you, but I think this will work right here. And you can do a couple of things with this. Once you have this on, you could just slip a ribbon through there and put it on your Christmas tree, or you can just take a fancy little hook, little Christmas ornament hook. I noticed they're bringing those out more and more in the stores. I saw some at Big Lots, and they were pretty inexpensive. Walmart had them too. And you can put one of those little curly S-shaped fancy hooks on this. Okay, so it's totally up to you. Now we do have one more thing left to do on this, and darn it, I need to get my my nail file. Hold on for a moment. Okay, so I have a little nail file here, and I'm going to be using the Stickles in the color Diamond. This is by Ranger, and they do have this on Amazon, and I think sometimes it's close to $5, sometimes it's just a tiny bit over $5, but I'll put the link to this as well. And so we're going to take our little nail file, and on just certain parts of the mouse, I'm just going to rough it up a little bit. You don't have to do it a ton. Just be careful that you are exactly where you want to be when you rough it up. And it doesn't take much at all on this lamination plastic here. And maybe do a little bit on the hat. And I'm just using the diamond. I don't want to get into using different colors and whatnot, because like I said before, sometimes there's a fine line between making something look enhanced and making something look like a big mess, and especially if you're using glitter. And I better bring out my my little pearl head pin here, just in case I'll need that. Okay, which I probably will. I always like to keep this clear. So what I'm doing is I'm going to start, oop, you know, I should have started that on a piece of paper with my first squirt. That would have been the smart thing to do. Okay, so I'm putting just a little bit of this on the areas that I sanded, on the white areas. Now this glue is very pretty, and it will, the glitter glue will dry flatter. Right now it's kind of puffy. Now I will tell you that hold on, I'm sorry. Can't think and work at the same time. Okay. Yes, I was going to tell you that this does take time to dry. It's not like your average glitter glue when it's dry in just, you know, a couple hours. I would allow this to dry completely overnight. All right, you won't be sorry, believe me. So I think that's really kind of pretty. I might put a little bit here on the white part of the holly leaves on the bag. Just a tad. Okay. All right. So I'm going to allow this to dry. I think this will, and like I said, this is puffy when it comes out, but it will flatten as it dries. Okay. So when this is completely dried, we'll be back, and I'll show you some of the other little mice ornaments I made too. Okay, so the little mouse is completely dried, and as you can tell, I did add some more sparkle to his cuffs right here, and but I think it turned out pretty cute. I'm going to add a couple of things to this, and one of the things I'm going to add is an ornament hook, and I'm going to make this ornament hook. Now, like I said before, you can certainly buy the S hooks or the fancier hooks in the stores, but I thought I would try this out. You're going to need 18 gauge wire, and this is non-tarnish craft wire. You can find all different brands, and I know Hobby Lobby carries this type of wire as well. It might be under a different brand name, but all you need to find is the 18 gauge wire, and it should say non-tarnish on it. Okay, so I cut 3 inches of this wire. As you can see, I've literally got a little tiny piece left, so I have to buy more wire. But I cut 3 inches from this piece, and I straightened it up using my wire straighteners, just taking my time doing this, and you know, like that, and you know, just doing everything I could to straighten it up. Now this is old wire. I probably bought this, oh gosh, at least 7 years ago, maybe 8. So I'll go ahead and start with the top, and I'm just using the widest part of my round nose pliers, okay, like this, and I am just pushing this with my finger as I roll this. Now you can see how it's kind of off to the side a little bit. It's an easy fix to this. You just bend it back a little and then close this forward so you have what looks like this. Okay, and I'm just pressing this like so, just so it'll be straight from the side. Okay, so since this hook here will open up to place on this hook, we want the top of the wire, which will be the hook to hang on the tree, we want it facing the same direction as this loop. Okay? Now, I'm just going to slip on a few, whoops, wrong ones. A few of these beads, 3 of them. And these are just the cheap glass beads that you can buy at any craft store. These particular ones, most of them came from Timu. And okay, so we have this. So I'm going to take this Sharpie pen. This is a fine point marker, and holding this the same direction as this bottom part, I'm going to take the widest part of the marker and just bend it over like that, and I'm going to bend it back a tiny bit and then bend it forward. Now this is just a hair too long, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip with my wire cutters just a smidgen off here, not much at all, just a smidgen. And then this is what we will use to hang this on the tree. And so we want to make sure everything's going the same way, kind of give it a little twist. I'm going to check from the side. Looks pretty good, going the same direction. So now we're just going to hook it onto here. And so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open this up like so, and just slip this on, and then close it shut. Make sure this is touching like that. Okay, and there we go. Here's our little wire. Now I thought it needed a little tiny bow up here. At first I was going to tie it in through here, and I did that, and the bow just looked funky. So what I did was I found this organza ribbon in my stash, and I used this and I absolutely love it. I just put a little bit of Fabri-Tac as high as I could go up here and glued this bow on. But I'll tell you why I love this. This is organza, but it's not fraying at the ends, and I think it's because there's a seam on both sides of this organza ribbon, so that's what's holding everything together. Now this is the His and Hers brand, and that is in the wedding section at Hobby Lobby. I'm posting this video on Friday, so they will have 40% off everything in the wedding section, the His or Her Studio, on Friday when I post this, and then Saturday. The ad changes again on Sunday. So if you find this, you can get this for 40% off. And it is 3/8 of an inch, and it's 10 yards. Okay? So I'm going to cut about 8 inches or so. And I know that I'll be cutting some of that off, trimming it up and everything, but that's okay. Let's see. Get my scissors. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Now, I'm just going to tie this like so, and then I just adjust it But it's really nice to find an organza ribbon that doesn't fray. Because I love to use the organza ribbon, but that's the only thing. You know, when you cut it, you have to dab that just a teeny amount of clear Elmer's glue or something at the end. Fabri-Tac wouldn't look all that great on it, I don't think. It'd have to be more the clear glues. So, you all know that I'm not the best at making bows, but I try. I really admire people that can make gorgeous bows. Okay, so I'm going to tie that until it seems fairly tight. I don't know what I did in this one, but okay. I think I'm going to call it a day on that one. Okay, so I'm going to cut this and cut that. And I'm going to glue it up here at the top with a little bit of Fabri-Tac. Oop, don't want to put that glue over this. Okay, now it's going to take a little while to harden. So I'm just going to, wait for it to harden. And don't worry about the beads coming up at the top like that, because they're not going to go around this. They can't. So I'm going to allow that to dry, and then I'll show you all the little mouse ornaments I made. Okay, so this is the one that we put together, and then we have this little guy here. I hope you can see it, and with the light on this, I know sometimes there's a glare. And then I made this little guy here. I think that turned out cute. And then we have this sweet little brown mouse. Thought that was cute. And then the last little guy here is wearing his little winter coat. So I did have a lot of fun making these, and I really hope you give them a try. And even if you don't have exactly everything that I have to make these, you can always switch things out, change things up, be inspired by certain methods that I use to put these together. So I hope you get something out of it. I hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for next week, because I will be doing a nativity ornament video, and I think it turned out really beautiful. So with that said, take care, and God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye.